Good morning, everybody, or should I say good afternoon, and welcome to the September ELA Tech Talk titled English Language Acquisition, ELA, in the Time of WIOA. My name is Jamie Trujillo, and I will be moderating the webinar as well as the YouTube chat. And I am here with our presenters, Dawn Dutton and Montserrat Ollanedel. They will be going through the presentation. Before we get started, please make sure to put your name and your program name in the chat. I know a few of you already have done that, so thank you so much for those of you who already have. If you haven't, please, again, put your name and your program name in the chat so that we can give you credit for attending. And if you have any questions or even comments as the webinar is going along, please feel free to put those in the chat, and I will ask any questions at the end when we come to the questions section. And with that, I will turn it over to Dawn and Monse.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie. Hello, everyone listening, and welcome to a new series of the English Language Acquisition TED Talks designed to help English language learners in adult programs. We are Monse and Dawn representing NMDELT, and we wanted to start the first installment of our series of TED Talk, giving you an overview of the requirements of English language acquisition under WIOA. We are teachers, as you may know, so we totally understand that is a need for materials and trainings that could support you during this transition. So for this reason, today, we will be talking about English language acquisition in the time of WIOA. So like Jamie mentioned it, before we start, please put your name and your program. Sorry, what's that? It's okay. We are
so
totally
sorry,
live.
guys. That was me. So sorry about that.
It's good. So this happens. Thank you, Jamie. And please put your name and thank you for joining us today. So also, for the people that can't attend live, we're gonna have this record available on our website at mdel.org. So before we let's start. So next slide, please, Jamie. So my name is Montserrat Ollanedel, Monse. I am here today with my co-presenter and colleague, Dawn.
Hello.
Hey, hi, Dawn. we would like to give you an overview of the NMDEL team and its work. So the scope of work that we do for all of you that may be new and they don't know much about NMDEL. So NMDEL stands for New Mexico Distance Education and Learning Technologies. We are a team of teachers throughout the state of New Mexico who provide support and training related to online and blended learning in adult education. We work with other educators and teachers to implement and support best practices. In addition to that, we also offer training and support for different learning technologies, including G Suite for education, NROC, Edmonton Plato, and as well other several open resources, online resources. So also you can see our information there. So if you have any comments or questions regarding this presentation or any other technology questions, please feel free to email us and just contact us. We will be happy to hear from you. So to begin this presentation, before we start with the content, we would like to assess how much do you know about WIOA and other topics. So please take a minute to think about it, and also feel free to comment in the chat. I know Jamie will be helping you, and she will let us know if you have any questions. But again, it will be great that you can share your thoughts regarding what do you already know about WIOA and how ELA instruction has been transitioning.
While you're thinking about that, I can mention that our talk today is not wholly technology-based. We are NMDEL, but today's talk includes the technology and the online and the open educational resources, comments about that. But the fundamentals here are really focused on just English language acquisition. Many of the workshops that I've seen, they cover all of the standards in WIOA, but we're just going to focus on primarily reading, really, today.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Dawn. So Jamie, do we have any comments?
None right now.
Okay, so let's keep going because we have a lot to talk, and feel free to put any comments on the chat. We will review it later.
So the series objectives for the fall, we've kind of put together a plan that really revolves around career readiness. Of course, there's some college readiness, embedded in that stuff, but we're focusing on career readiness this fall for ELA. We want our students to be ready for a career. Let's look at those objectives now for the fall for our 4 Tech Talks in this series. In the next slide. So we want all instructors to be able to recognize and identify the WIOA mandates related to ELA. This is not new; it's been a couple of years now, but we hope that we can maybe broaden your knowledge or help you think better about the standards that are involved specifically for us in English. Our second talk, we're going to talk about open educational resources, and we want you to be able to identify appropriate career-based online resources, which are not all open educational resources, and the value they have in the classroom. We want to offer an OER project featuring 21st century skills that you can do what is really the definition of an open educational resource. You can retain, reuse, revise, remix, and redistribute for your own use in your classroom. We want to talk about career clusters and career cluster information specific to your region of New Mexico. And we want to do an exercise that's a career-based exercise that involves work safety in general. It fits almost anybody getting a job or who has a job, to help them communicate in English in a variety of situations involving warning signs, reporting an accident, an illness, talking to a supervisor, all those kinds of things. So that's our plan for this fall. I hope you can attend all 4.
And before I go to the next slide, I did just want to mention that Nancy commented that the College and Career Readiness, the Act, was instituted in 2015.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. So thank you for that, Nancy. So today, the whole idea of the webinar is give you an overview of the changes in instruction, and the changes in students, and also to provide you with some materials that will help you to go through this transition. Like we all know, this is, and Don mentioned before, this is not new, but also we have a lot of new teachers coming and some time to come into the adult education field. So sometimes it's really hard to understand what are all these changes, especially because the instructions, the instruction is a little bit different than what it used to be. So these are all the today objectives, and again, this is going to be a little more heavy in content that in comparison to other TED Talks that we've been doing. But this is the first one. It is the first to set the tone for the next one that will be more application related to and technology. So we hope we enjoy this webinar. Okay, next slide, please. So let's review quickly WIOA. So WIOA is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, and it's a federal law that helps job seekers to access better opportunities related to employment, education, training, and job services. The main goal of WIOA is to support our students to get better jobs and match employers with skilled workers. Also, one of the main changes was that WIOA adds 3 new activities under that adult education and literacy activities. The first one is workforce preparation activities. The second one is integrated education and training, IET, that is really famous now, and we are a lot talking in our programs about IET. But today we're going to talk about integrated English literacy and civic education, IELCE. So talking about, as you can see, there is a lot of content in this slide, but basically what WIOA indicates and mandates for ELA program is that they should help students to get their HSC diploma or transition to post-secondary education and training, which is college and training, and including career pathway programs to lead to employment. Another thing that what WIOA is mandating is that now we have to support better our another students that come from other country. They have a high skill. They are high skilled, and also they have degrees from other countries. So now, as educators, we have to support those students in the transition into United States and to be able to work in this country. So the idea is to provide them with effective instruction. So now, as you can see in this slide, you can compare how the old ESL instruction used to be and how it's now. So basically, before, there was a clear focus on competency in English language. And now with the new legislation, the English language acquisition instruction is more rigorous and also focus on helping ELL students to achieve competency in the 4 English language areas. And also, like we mentioned, the program needs to support the students so they can get their HSC diploma, transition to post-secondary education, and training and employment. And before, we used to call this ESL. That was an acronym that we used to say, oh, the ESL classes. But now, under WIOA, we are calling the classes English language acquisition.
That whole ELA, ELL thing is interesting. The program is English language acquisition. Of course, ELL is English language learners. So in that context, we would use ELL. But I'm here to talk about text complexity and the components of the English language arts standards. There are 3 things that are focused on as most important for the standards moving forward here. Text complexity. What does that mean in our classrooms? I want you to think inference. That's a real important word in a lot of things. I want to be certain here that everyone understands in ELA, we're talking about transitioning people into the high school equivalency program, maybe to a job, or maybe to college. My son recently got hired by Pepsi, and they had him take a test that was very similar to the GED. It was a general education thing. So it's out there. Whatever people are going to do, mostly, they're going to have to learn these skills that are similar to what is reflected in entrance exams and the new high school equivalency exams, and not we assuming that our English people are going to go on to do one of those things. Many of them are, and this is what they need to know. So inference is a real famous word in the GED anyway. So what does that mean? Reading between the lines. If someone can critically think about a text and come away with or be able to communicate the inference there, that's a skill that they're going to need. That they're going to need at some point. Evidence. I remember the great example is the old test might ask, would you rather, write an essay? Would you rather live in the country or the city? Well, nobody cares about where you want to live now. They want to know evidence. They want you to cite a source that gives you information about the benefits of living in the city or the country. And so evidence in both literary and we used to just do reading literary texts, and now we're reading everything, including information text, rental agreements, insurance forms, those kinds of things, and lots of other things. So we're focusing on evidence of knowledge and where it comes from. And the depth of knowledge is now across all disciplines, science, social studies, and technical subjects specifically. We know that there are 4 levels in the depth of knowledge theory, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Mostly on our assessments, we're just going to see the first 3. And here's a good example of what you can think related to your level of class. Your beginning level student should be able to describe the characteristics of something. In this slide here, it shows characteristics of metamorphic rock. So your a little bit higher students maybe expand a little bit depth of knowledge a little higher to describe the difference between the two, and the higher level ones would be able to represent a model that shows the difference between the two. Next slide, please. So here's the old and the new standards. Again, work with complex texts as opposed to level 1 students read level 1 texts. I think some of our programs that we use online, I like USA Learns actually, because there's pretty low level vocabulary involved but then they have a story that's like something you would read in the newspaper. And there might be vocabulary in there that's a little difficult for the lower level students, but it's good for them to be exposed to it. And that's the point of exposing every level ELA students to complexity, to text complexity. Read anything was the old idea. I remember in the 90s, research out of USC, the idea was to put students in a print-rich environment, and they could just choose anything what they wanted to read. Now, we need to make sure that our students are reading a variety of things that are complex in nature. And again, both reading informational texts and literature. And again, opinions are not as important, but they are. It is more important to look at the text, whether that's online text, whether that's a site or a book, whatever it is. Students be able to know where those answers came from, and then provide an evidence-based response. And the emphasis now is on reading and rereading rather than pre-reading as it was before. Don't say?
Yes, thank you for that, Don. So today, now we can see in this slide how all the changes, how they look in instruction now, right? So this is an overview of what we should be teaching and assessing in our regular classes. So there has to be a lot of emphasis in teaching the 4 language skills, math and financial literacy. Additionally, the instruction has to be contextualized into civil education. Then we have to assess the 4 skill language, the 4 English language skills, computation and math skills, and civic knowledge and the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. So as teachers, you see there is a lot of things to do.
That's a lot,
right? It's a lot. And we understand, like we mentioned during the whole presentation, we are teachers too. So it's challenging to how you fuse and you create your lessons. And I would love to hear maybe you can post some comments about it, because it is hard to have all these components part of your lesson. However, this is good for the students, and we understand why they change, why this is going on. And at the end, the ultimate goal is to help our students to reach their goals.
We are technology people. We love technology. We love learning programs. We believe in it strongly. Part of career readiness is digital literacy. There's no question about it. So, just a reminder here, why you want to include technology in your classroom, why you want your students to use the computer, to use their devices. It increases their access to learning resources, of course. It also creates learners who can operate independently. No teacher's not telling them what to do. They're getting on their device. They're learning. It helps to encourage lifelong learning also once they know how to do this. Students are more prepared for the workforce and for college. College, of course, demands that students know how to use a computer, and almost every job also. Not only that, but knows how to access those HR forms that you need for that job, or that assessment that you need for that college, and be able to get on there and succeed in a learning or an assessment environment online. And we know that our students need time management as a general adult skill, and it helps them do that by giving them the opportunity to study when they want to. And I love whenever, wherever, and however learning. By the use of technology learning programs, we can offer to our students whenever, wherever, and however they want to study on their own. Well, I must mention right now that research shows us that this kind of study is best done with a classroom, also in a blended environment, 50% of the study or some percent, but we know that online learning 100% isn't quite as effective as the blended learning. Monse?
It's true, Don. Technology is really important, and that's our job. So, so we have to consider how technology is a tool for teachers, especially in a multi-level class. I think, in my experience, technology, even though it's been hard, it's not easy to get used to technology. Having technology to support a multi-level class is been helping me a lot. But let's come back to the change in students. What we are talking about here is that we already talked about the changes in instruction, but now we can see how these changes had impact our students. So before, our regular students were mainly low English level students. They usually, I mean, some of them didn't work. They came to classes. They wanted to learn English and have that sense of community. And it was more, let's say, more relaxed. We didn't have many expectations, just for them to support them and for them to speak English, right? And to be able to communicate. Now, as you can see on the right of this table, now our target population includes ELL students that are looking to excel in their careers, students that want to enroll into post-secondary education, and also that students that want to get training or work in the in-demand industries in your community. So this is a big change in the target population for classes. I mean, we still having the same students that maybe they don't want to go to school, or they don't want to get a career. However, we are trying to get more students that need this support, and they want to go to college, and they want to excel and find their career pathways. Next slide, please. So now we have this important mission. It's really important to us to support the students in their transition and to help them to plan their path into college and career. A lot of them, they don't know that they have possibilities and they can do more, that they sometimes they feel that they cannot, they don't have options, but it's our job to show them that there are some options, and we also have to provide them with the skills to succeed in the 21st century, because like Don was saying, one of them are computer skills, communication skills, professionalism skills. In any job that they do, they will need those careers, and that's what WIOA is trying to mandate now and be clear about how instructors, we have to infuse our lessons and put all these components that we've been talking through this presentation. Next slide, please. So we, as educators, we would like to help you during this transition to educate yourself too regarding the changes, and also to encourage your colleagues to get on board with the new demands that this legislation mandates. Also, we are aware that a lot of new teachers, I mean, in our program, there is a lot of new teachers that are still kind of understanding some of them, they haven't been part of the adult education field, so they need to get all this overview. And when we were planning this webinar, we were thinking, well, what do you do? How do you support them, and how they don't feel lost? So there are a lot of trainings and materials that could help you to support your colleagues. And this is one that we recommend, is the LINKS website. I know it's really famous, but what I like the most about this is that it's free, and you just need an email address to access. Then, as you can see on the screen, they have a whole component for English language acquisition. And the one that is in red is the one that is related to WIOA and career pathways. Also, all these modules had in addition other resources and some documentations and research and some of them recommend activities that you could use in the classroom, because we understand that one of the main challenges is to find materials that you can just grab and practice and put it in practice in your classroom. And also, the last one, as you see in the same picture, there is one that talks about how to integrate technology. So we totally recommend this website just to start to get familiar with the idea, with the concepts, and then you're gonna start moving forward. Additionally to this, Dawn and I, we are both working for the English Language Acquisition Department, as we call it, trying to create more materials and trying to do more TED Talks related to these topics. And we will show you in the next slide what are the next TED Talks that are coming. So we invite you also to communicate with us and to check our website. And just let us know if you need, what would you like to do? What are you looking for? Are you looking for lessons or ideas? So next slide, please.
We are at about 26 minutes into our 30-minute session, so we just got a couple minutes here to go over quickly. As I mentioned, Tech Talk number 1, we are in the middle of that. Tech Talk 2, if you're interested in open educational resources, I'm really excited about all of the opportunities that we have in English language acquisition to work with OERs, and be happy to talk to you about that. We can do that in October 11th, November 8th. We're going to be talking about Tech Talk number 3, career clusters, and in Tech Talk 4, safety and health, implementing common health and safety lessons in the workplace. Good lesson for anybody on December 13th. Next slide, please. You can, of course, reach us www.nmdelt.org, where you can find these archived Tech Talks, ELA Tech Talks, and a lot of other things that we offer there. We offer training, support, resources, networking, and professional development. And you can contact us Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Jamie, any questions or comments?
We do have one question from E&MU Roswell. They were wondering, what do you consider the 4 language skills?
What we do? Well, okay, Don, you can answer, of course.
It's actually 5, but listening, speaking, reading, writing, that's what is in the standards. That's what we meant by that. Listening, speaking, reading, writing, and what? That's not 5.
Listening, speaking, reading, and writing. You have 4, and the 5 will be, some people consider grammar as its own skill sometimes.
Okay, those are the 4.
Yeah.
That's what we meant.
Thank you, guys.
And
that
like
was our only question.
And yeah, and don't mention it. This is what it are in the standard, so that's why we are getting that from.
Are we ready to go to the next slide?
No, yep. We just want to say, yeah, of course.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That way we can give some time for folks to go to this survey.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Please let us know what you think.
And I apologize, we can't put this link in the chat. For some reason, YouTube doesn't allow us to put the link in the chat. So if you will just go to this shortened bit.ly link, it is case sensitive, so make sure that the NMDELT ELA is all capitalized. And like Dawn was saying, please just let us know your thoughts on this webinar.
Thank you for listening today. And please join us for the other ones that we are planning for during this semester. And if you have, again, any suggestions, please make sure to let us know. We will be glad to hear from you.
Happy teaching, everyone.
Thank you all very much.
I love that.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Hey, nice picture.
Yeah, that's nice.